Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive Hobbycast. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, so this episode is called The Dungeon Dive Goes to Disneyland. So I don't really like Disney as a company. I think they can be pretty wretched. I hate the Marvelification of genre cinema, and they're releasing way too many Star Wars things, stripping away any of its special qualities that it had left, turning it into just another science fiction thing. They are a media conglomerate with all the negative baggage that comes with that. However, I have a huge soft spot in my heart for vintage Disney movies and cartoons. I also love the Carl Banks and Don Rosa, Donald and Scrooge comic books. Just thinking about the old goofy sports shorts, especially the snow skiing and water skiing episodes, and the Humphrey the Bear short where he has to pick up trash with that little roly-poly park ranger, absolutely fills me with joy. Watching the old Disney shows on the Disney Channel with my sister at my grandma's house while eating Eggo waffles with blueberry maple syrup is one of my most cherished memories. And I also love Disneyland. I've never been enough times so that the park loses its magical appeal to me. Even when I lived in Southern California, I didn't visit often. It was always super expensive and crowded, making it hard to get to. It's always been kind of reserved more for special times and special occasions like Christmas, or the last time I went was for my 40th birthday, and I went with my family, and that was super fun. I still remember the sense of wonder of being there as a kid, and I still feel that today as a nearly 50-year-old man. I also remember the sadness of leaving the park as a kid, a feeling rivaled only by the day after Christmas in terms of longing. But I'm going again this week, going with my extended family from the Pacific Northwest, meeting some of my family from California there, and a couple friends I've made while working on the Dungeon Dive. When this episode posts, I'll be at Disneyland, so I thought I'd briefly discuss my top 5 attractions/things to do. But first, a couple of things I miss from the old days, and it's just 2. I miss the Country Bear Jamboree. I know this is no longer at Disneyland, but I think it's still at some of their other parks. I've never been to any of the other parks except for in Southern California. Big Al was my favorite of the bears, and I always thought they should have made a cartoon series about these guys. It could have been kind of like the Gummy Bears, which the Gummy Bears was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. And I also missed the video arcade below Space Mountain. This arcade, I think it was called Spacecade, if I'm not misremembering. It was so cool. They always had just the latest and greatest games. They always had the big machines, like the Afterburner machine and the Space Harry machine that had the full kind of hydraulic control. Just a fantastic arcade. Great pinball. I was super bummed when they got rid of it and turned it into a Star Wars retail store, but it makes sense. Arcades just weren't making enough money anymore. So now my top 5 favorite things to do at Disneyland. Number 5 is the Main Street shopping. This is just full-on nostalgia mode. I love the sights and sounds of the Main Street stores. I used to be really into close-up magic, so I'd always love going to the little magic store to buy a trinket or 2. I really love books about Disneyland, and you're seeing some of the images here on the video feed for this podcast from some of the books I have. So I always make sure to go and grab a book at one of the gift shops. I also love all the smells of the candy and the pastries. Number 4 is actually the line for the Indiana Jones ride. I like the ride itself, but I think the line is something really special, and it shows Disney's commitment to the overall experience of immersion. I'm always a little bummed when this ride doesn't have a line, but I also want the line to be kind of like the perfect length so we don't get bored and doesn't take up too much time. So I just want it to be just long enough to give us time to look at all of the set decorations. It expertly sets the stage for the ride, and the artistry on display is astounding. Number 3 is the Haunted Mansion. This thing scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. It has some really dark and sinister moments, and the story of the dark ride is pretty creepy, but as the ride progresses, you get more of that kind of old school Disney humor. I love the sights and sounds of the ride. It's slow, chill, and totally engrossing. The little ghost lady beckoning the guests to come back at the ride's exit is always just a tad unsettling. Very, very bizarre and creepy, that little moment. I'm pretty sure it's going to be themed as the Nightmare Before Christmas when we are there for Halloween, and that's always a treat. I think I've only seen that once, and I remember it being really cool. Number 2 is Pirates of the Caribbean. If I could live in any ride, it would be this one. I often had daydreams of like jumping ship and going AWOL and living in the swamps before that first drop. This is a total spectacle of the imagination. So many things to see and hear. I love the story the ride tells of the curse of greed and the dangerous lust of power. I'm a huge fan of artificial environments, things like malls and the spectacle of Las Vegas. And Pirates is probably the best artificial environment I've ever been in. And number 1, my favorite attraction at Disneyland is the Enchanted Tiki Room. This is my all-time favorite, probably more for nostalgic reasons than anything else. As a kid, this was always the last thing we did when we went with my family. It was kind of like that magical capstone to a wonderful day. The animatronics on display are nothing short of marvelous. And even though you can hear the robotic noises of the mechanisms, after a few minutes of the performance, all of that vanishes. The room itself, the building itself is a work of art. And again, this is just like a love letter to this kind of artificial environment that Disney creates. And I think it is among the very best. So, all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this brief episode. I might do a vlog style entry while I'm there. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do anything like that, but maybe. And if I do, you'll see it. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Bye-bye.